What up guys, JP back at you once again, bringing you guys episode number 23 in my 2017 Shelf by Shelf series. Again, we are continuing through the DVDs. We're actually almost finished with this entire shelving unit, which is good because that means we're getting closer to the end. So let's continue along. We're down over in this corner. Again guys, I'm sorry for the lighting, but first up we have Piranha 2: The Spawning. And this film was one of James Cameron's first films. It might have actually been his debut. I've actually never seen it. I've always wanted to watch the other Piranha movies. I've only seen 2 out of the 5 that there are, and this one just looks crazy and, you know, like a straight up B movie, like Roger Corman shit. After that we have The Pit and Hellgate. I forgot I actually owned this. This is a DVD that I've actually not watched. I got this and then immediately after that, this is out of print, but they announced The Pit on Blu-ray from Kino, so yeah, I'm really excited to see The Pit eventually, but it's kind of lost in the crazy amounts of films that I have to watch lately, so I don't know when I'll get around to it, but it sounded cool from when I first heard Moods review it. This one is The Plague, based on Clive Barker's novel. This movie was not very good, honestly, guys. Like, it started off okay, but it was pretty weak by the end. I don't really remember much about it. Can't really recommend it. After that, we have A Plague So Pleasant, and I forget about this one. I want to say that this movie was decent. I've never seen it, but I think somebody, or did I see it? I might have seen it. I cannot remember. I heard something about it. I just don't remember what it is. This is a Wild Eye releasing, so they're very, very miss and rarely hit, but, you know. After that, we have Plan 9 from Outer Space. Mood sent me this years ago. This is considered one of the worst movies of all time. It's pretty bad, but it's nowhere near the worst movie of all time. It is an Ed Wood film. It's alright, you know, it's nothing special. After that, we have Play Hooky. I've actually never watched this film. Another Wild Eye that I've just had in the collection forever. But, you know, Wild Eyes are crazy because sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. After that, we have Poltergeist. Yeah, I mean, it's classic material, but I don't love it, I guess. I don't know. It's like, it's one of those films that I know it's a great movie. I know it's like fantastic. Every time I watch it, I enjoy it, but I never feel like watching it. It is a Tobe Hooper directed film, allegedly. Of course, we all know that Steven Spielberg probably had a heavy hand in actually directing the film, but I do consider it a co-directed film by those two. I can't imagine that Tobe Hooper didn't have any involvement. I'm sure he had his own input and stuff like that. So, Poltergeist, and after that we have, of course, Poltergeist 2 and 3, and the other side, I just watched this one, actually, and believe it or not, I actually forget the entire movie. It came out in '86, and I don't really remember it, honestly. It's one of those series that I just never feel like I'm gonna be into, so I just always have avoided them. I've never seen Poltergeist 3, but yeah, I don't know what it is about him, but I just can't, I don't seem to get into him that easy. After that, we have Population 436, starring Fred Durst and Jeremy Sisto. This film is actually pretty okay. It's kind of like a hidden gem. Basically, this guy ends up in this town where the population is always 436, so essentially that means that if somebody new comes in, then somebody has to die, or vice versa. So, pretty interesting. I remember seeing it on TV, actually thinking it was pretty good, and eventually picked up the DVD. I liked it. After that, we have Premonition. I seen this in the theater when it came out, and honestly, like, I couldn't get into it, and then, I don't know, I got this in like a DVD lot off eBay or something. It's like the full screen version. I'm not sure I ever actually watched this DVD. I've just had it in the collection forever, but it's like more of a thriller anyway. After that, we have Priest, and this one is a film that I just never seemed interested in. It's literally just looks like that over stylized action horror blending of genres that I absolutely hate. So I just never really gave this one a shot, and honestly don't feel like it. So who the hell knows? After that, we have Prime Evil. This is, I believe, an Australian crocodile flick. I love my crocodile flicks, love my alligator flicks, love these things to death. I've seen this before. It's been a really long time, though. I don't really remember it too much. After that, we have Private Number. This one was okay. It was like a thriller type thing. Probably a one-time watch. I haven't seen it lately. I watched it a couple years ago, and you know, it was alright. I got it as a screener from, I don't even know, Lionsgate maybe? Arc Entertainment. After that, we have Pro Wrestlers vs. Zombies. I believe I got this in a horror pack, and it looks absolutely atrocious, but, you know, whatever. I'll check it out eventually. Then we have Prom Night. This one I actually don't like at all. I recently picked up the Synapse Blu-ray, so that helps. I hear if you're not a huge fan of Prom Night, maybe seeing it on Blu-ray kind of make you appreciate it a little bit more. But I've watched this one time when I picked it up on this DVD here, courtesy of Echo Bridge Home Entertainment, and I just really wasn't into it. I was like, man, this movie's boring as hell. But I'm actually very interested to revisit it eventually. After that, we have Prophecy. And this was a pretty cool one. Got this one really cheap, for like $5 at Walmart. And it's a fun movie. It's basically about like a mutant bear. It's social commentary on humans and, you know, toxic or waste or something like that. You know, just being bad people, you know, and populating the forest and stuff like that. And then we get this just crazy mutant jelly bear. So that happens sometimes. It might be mixed with like a pig and a bunch of other stuff too. So it could be Man Bear Pig. Maybe. I think somebody made that joke before. I just stole a joke. After that, we have Proxy. This one actually made my top 10 of 2014 or 13, I believe. This was a really good movie. It's a little long, but it was a very, very, very good movie. I absolutely loved it. So if you've never seen it, check it out. I really like that cover too. Pregnancy horror is awesome. Then we have Psycho. This is like the digibook style version. Picked this up a long time ago, special edition. There's some great bonus features on here. I do remember that. I pretty much watched every bonus feature on here when I first got it, and it's classic. What can you say? It's Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, masterpiece. After that, we have the Psycho 2, 3, and 4 multi-pack here, which is pretty cool. You know, at the time, before these films had Blu-ray releases, this was a great pickup. You know, it was like $7 and got all 3 of the other Psycho films. All 3 were good. I still remember one of my favorite memories ever was when I first started collecting. I bought the original Psycho, that version right there, and then I bought this triple pack. I had not seen any of these films except for Psycho 4 when I was a kid. And I remember going through all 4 of them and just absolutely loving them. I was so into the movies, and it was just such a, I like stayed up all night and watched all of them. I wasn't working at the time, and it was just like such a great memory. I had a blast with these. I just could not believe how good they were. Like, I fell in love with them. They were so good. And then of course after that we have another version of that pack, but this one includes Bates Motel, which was the TV movie, often and, you know, mostly forgotten until, you know, kind of modern era, you know, the last couple years people started remembering that it actually was a thing. But apparently they tried to do a Bates Motel TV series like back in the 80s, and it just was like a total flop. And they started with a TV movie called Bates Motel. I believe it does not have Anthony Perkins in it. But that's pretty cool, you know. Eventually when we cover the Psycho films, we're going to throw that one in there for sure. I've never seen it, so I'm holding off on that. After that, we have the Psycho Legacy, and this was a great documentary. I absolutely loved this documentary. It was directed by Rob Galuzio, of course from the Shockwaves podcast, formerly Killer POV, and as well as he was part of Icons of Fright, now Blumhouse. Great documentary. I had this in the collection for a while. Covered it on a Horror 101 segment before on the podcast. If you've never seen this, definitely pick it up. It's a nice companion to the Psycho films. Then we have Pulse. $1.88 at Big Lots. Can't pass it up. I've never seen this film. It is a Japanese film. It looks pretty cool, honestly. Like, I am curious to check this out because I do seem to I'm honestly, I do not seem to like Japanese ghost movies, which I assume this is, but I do like the American remake, so I figured I'd want to check out the source material. After that, we have Pulse, which was the American remake that I was talking about, and I actually really liked this movie. I thought it was really cool when it came out, and yeah, now this type of movie is like a dime a dozen. You see it everywhere. I actually don't own any of the sequels. I think there's 2 sequels, but would like to pick them up eventually. I believe they are Dimension Extreme titles, and yeah, I actually really like this movie. It's pretty cool. Been a while since I've seen it, though. Did actually, you know what, did Wes Craven write this? Yeah, he actually did. This is a Wes Craven written film, which is pretty interesting. After that, we have Pumpkinhead, the classic collector's edition of Das Pumpkinhead. Absolutely love Pumpkinhead. Little odd story about this. You see that little piece of paper right there? Back when I first started YouTube, I did a top 25 favorite horror films, and I ripped up these little pieces of paper and I put them on the back of the case, so when I sat it down I held it up to the camera and I was like, number 13, Pumpkinhead, so that I would not forget the number of, you know, the countdown that I was on. And Pumpkinhead, my 13th favorite horror film of all time, probably not. You know, maybe top like 30 now. It's weird how our feelings and opinions change, but they do over time. And I was pretty young back then, you know. I think I was like 20, 21 or something like that, and I hadn't seen a whole lot of horror films, honestly. I mean, I had, compared to the normal person, but compared to you animals, like, I've seen like 1,000 more horror films since then, so, you know, it's a lot, you know, 1,200 more, actually. I know that because I keep track of all the stuff that I watch, but Pumpkinhead, really good. After that, we have Pumpkinhead 2, Leprechaun, Wishmaster, and Wishmaster 2. I actually got this at a flea market. Somebody gave it to me for like $3, and I couldn't pass it up because I didn't own any of these films, and I liked them all. So, Pumpkinhead 2, Leprechaun, actually, you know what? Take that back. I actually owned all 3 of these films except for Pumpkinhead 2, so I bought this for Pumpkinhead 2. But I remember when I got back to my friend's house, who I was chilling with at the flea market. I was staying over his crib, him and his girlfriend. We actually watched Pumpkinhead 2 and then the Wishmaster flicks, which was pretty cool. It was pretty fun. Of course, then we have Pumpkinhead Ashes to Ashes. My grandma actually got me this a few Christmases ago. I wanted the 2 sequels to the Pumpkinhead films, that, you know, the sci-fi original sequels, and you know, they were kind of out of print at the time. I think they might be back in print now, but I got it and I was like, okay, that one was pretty bad, but not as bad as I expected, honestly. And then Pumpkinhead 4, Blood Feud. I actually really liked this one. I thought this one was pretty solid. I wish they would make more of these, honestly. Like, Pumpkinhead's pretty cool, and I was actually very happy with the continuity in Pumpkinhead 3 and 4. I thought it was really neat. They ignore 2, but they follow up on the other ones. So with that said, guys, I'll see you guys in the next part. Peace out.